board tomorrow. She could be in serious trouble. Oh, it's all right. She can't hear me or see me because I don't really exist. I'll explain that later. She can't hear me, but even so, I can speak a lot more freely when she's not around. Who's that? Someone about the hearing tomorrow, probably. I cannot tell you how worried I am about that. She's so used to having her own way in town. She doesn't realize how things have changed. But I can't tell her anything. She won't listen to me. Now you see who I am. Don't you? I'm a part of what she used to be. That's right. We came to a point about 30 years ago where we simply couldn't go on the way we were. She said. So she put me out. Maybe you've done the same thing yourself. There was a silly young part of you that you simply couldn't divide any longer. You said, get out. Well, that part of you doesn't just disappear. It's always there. And if you want my advice, you should make friends with it and listen to it, because it can help you. Like right now, I know something she doesn't, and I can save her for a lot of trouble. But, good grief, it's Mr. Bradley. His wife is the one who brought the complaint against this stuff. They're new in town, very rich and important.
Sorry to be dropping in so late, Miss Dull.
I had not retired.
I won't take long.
Please be seated.
Thank you, Miss Dull. I had been away on a business trip, and I had not realized till I got back tonight how far things had gone between you and Mrs. Bradley. I'll be frank with you, Miss Dull. I don't want that hearing held tomorrow.
Because it was called to hear charges brought against me by Mrs. Bradley.
Why don't I tell her I want it called off? I've been telling her for the past 3 hours, but you've got her so mad she won't even listen to me. Okay, now I've been over all the documents, and I talked to my son George. What I'm here to say is, Mrs. Bradley has a pretty strong case against you. You have given George a hard time. I believe she could get you fired for it.
Are you trying to frighten me, Mr. Bradley?
I just want you to understand. I don't want that hearing held tomorrow, but neither do you.
Mr. Bradley, I have never done anything as a teacher that I did not do consciously and with good reason. I was firm with George because in my judgment, firmness was what he needed. For his sake, I regret that the record will have to be made public. I am not worried for myself.
For his sake, you say?
Yes, it cannot be good for George to be caught in the middle of a public controversy between me and his mother.
That's exactly why I want that hearing called off.
Have you explained this to Mrs. Bradley?
Yes, but she thinks you're unfit to be a teacher, and it's her duty to get rid of you. You've got her fighting mad. And besides, between you and me, she never did want him in public school. It would be just as glad to have a good enough reason to take him out and put him right back in the private school.
You apparently feel there is something I might do.
Yes. She says you are inflexible and unreasonable. If I could take a conciliatory note from you, it might help.
A note saying
That you admit you've been unfair to George and promise to go easy with him in the future.
but I have not been unfair.
Put it in your own words. What was it you said? You've been firm with him?
Firm, yes.
Let's just say you were unduly firm.
No,
And you're-
not unduly, Mr. Bradley.
Look, Miss Dove, the language is not important. Let's just say you may have been unduly firm. That's not much saying. That's like admitting you might not have absolutely perfect judging. So who has? I mean, put in your own words.
But even if I could devise a suitably unclear description of what I have done in the past, I could not promise to go easy on George in the future.
Why not?
Because his chief problem is that people have gone easy on him in the past.
No, Miss Dove. George's problem is that he's the new boy in town. He has a rich father that half the other kids' parents work for one way or another. He has a mother that dotes on him and believes in going to bat for him. He has an Eastern private school accent that sounds as funny as hell around here. He's not popular.
He could easily surmount all that if he had character, which he will develop only by learning respect for rules. First someone else's and then his own. Discipline and then self-discipline.
Okay, so what will you write in this note to Mrs. Bradley?
I will gladly offer to sit down with her and you and explain why I have been firm with George.
You mean justify what you've done by saying where she's fallen down? That'd be a great help.
She is not the only one who has fallen down.
Then you admit you're partly to blame.
No, Mr. Bradley, you are. Perhaps if this was made clear.
I'm to blame?
Yes. Now that a crisis has arisen, you are suddenly very busy on your son's behalf. but you have neglected your steady, day-to-day, unspectacular duties as a father.
Are you insinuating that?
I do not insinuate, Mr. Bradley. I state facts. You have failed to teach George the fundamentals of character and are now interfering with my attempt to do so.
Let's not get sidetracked, Miss Stubbs. I'm not after that hearing tomorrow. You are, and you have two choices. You can give it a little, and the case will be dropped. You can go on being the lovable old curmudgeon of Liberty Hill, or you can be stiff-necked and get fired from your job, as unfit. So now what do you say? Shall we write this note?
If Mrs. Bradley believes I am unfit to continue teaching, then she has no honorable choice but to bring her evidence before the school board.
All right, then, Miss Stubbs.
I am sorry your time has been wasted.
Oh, why would you call it wasted? I met the famous Miss Stubbs.
You might have done that at any parent-teacher conference since the term began.
See you in court, Miss Stubbs.
I shall be there.
She should have written that letter. She'll go to bed now. She's always right on schedule. People set their watches in the morning by the time she goes past their houses. The worst of it is, I can't really blame her. Because I know how she got this way. It began the evening of our 19th birthday. I say our because we were still one person then. She and I. Mother and our two younger sisters had gone to bed early. But we sat here, in the parlor, with Father. His London book dealer had sent him a fine edition of Marco Polo's Travels, and he took it to the table here, under the lamp. If there was one thing Father loved almost as much as travel, it was reading about travel. The room was full of roses, and through an open window, we could smell the scent of leaves and new-cut grass. That morning, a letter had arrived from Ralph Scott, an archaeology graduate student at Princeton. We had met at a party while we were away at finishing school. I look forward to seeing you in Liberty Hill next week. Perhaps our friendship, which begun under such happy auspices, will ripen into something warmer. He was coming to visit a friend here. What happened then? There was a deepening quiet. A sigh. I don't really know. Father slumped forward, his cheek on the open book, on a page describing the Great Wall of China. One arm flung forward, palm up, as if in a gesture of apology. Without a word of farewell, he'd gone. I hate telling that part. Excuse me. One evening, about a week after the funeral, we were sitting here, in this chair, wearing a black dress, of course. Mr. Porter, Father's successor at the bank, had said that he wanted to see us about something. Father's will, we thought. It seemed perfectly natural that he would want to go over this with us, rather than our mother. She was far too much like a child. Father called her Dolly. We were the one he trusted.
Good evening, Miss Stubbs.
Good evening, Mr. Porter.
I hate to intrude at a time like this. Ordinarily, I would speak to your mother, but
I understand. Please sit down. Is it about Father's will?
hardly. Your father left a small trust fund, enough to keep you all in a modest way.
We all believed in enjoying life as we went along, Mr. Porter. Father took us on trips which meant more than he could have ever possibly provided for us. We'll manage. Is there something else?
Yes, there is.
Please tell me what I need to know.
As president of the bank, your father, of course, had access to certain funds. Now, in his position, that is before I could take over his responsibilities, a routine check had to be made.
Naturally.
I found that your father had borrowed from these funds without observing the conventional forms.
Yes, and you think there may be some records among his documents here? Some? Or is it that you...
If he had lived, of course, he would have paid all this money back.
You mean he stole it?
Please, your father was my good friend.
How much did he steal?
Why, he borrowed nearly $12,000 in driblets here and there.
12? How many people know about this, Mr. Porter?
Only me so far, and no one else need know, provided
Provided we pay it back.
it belonged to our depositors.
So I must get up $12,000. How?
Well, this house, your father's books, I know it won't be easy for your mother to part with these things, but as you say, what your father gave you was worth a great deal.
But my mother must never even know about this, Mr. Porter. How soon? How long do I have?
Until the next regular audit,
Which is?
in 1 week.
1 week? How can I possibly?
I will make you a loan against this house and its contents. The minute you say the word, the money can then be repaid.
But the house is in my mother's name.
Luciana, I realize your mother has always been protected from the hard facts of life, but I fear the time has come.
No, it has not. But I need time to think. May I see you tomorrow?
Of course. I'll stop by whenever you say.
No, I'll come by your office at 10 in the morning.
Certainly. Have you in mind some other collateral on which I might make you a loan?
Give me till tomorrow at 10.
Good night, Miss Dove.
Good night, Mr. Porter, and thank you for being frank with me.
Your father's only fall through his optimism and his love of good things. Remember that.
He broke a rule, Mr. Porter. And that's when she decided to become a teacher. She'd borrow the money from Mr. Porter and pay him back with her wages, however long it took. And she'd send our sisters through college. Every morning, she'd twist our hair up into a knot, and she's kept it that way ever since. But I said, what about Ralph Scott and getting married and having the children we wanted so much? We had to forget all that, she said. Well, I was born to forget it. But I didn't argue too hard because I knew that Ralph was coming around the next day. And I was sure he'd talk her out of it.
Lucerna, I can't tell you how sorry I am.
I know, Ralph.
I wanted to come right away, but thought I should give you time to get a little more adjusted.
Yes?
Lucerna, I don't know whether this is a good time to say what I have to say, but I'm going to.
Wait, Ralph.
Lucerna, I love you.
No, Ralph.
I do. Ever since that weekend in Princeton, I haven't been able to think about anything or anyone else. I'd told you sooner in a letter, but there were certain things I had to talk over with my parents first. Lucerna, I want you to marry me.
Ralph, wait.
My parents will help us out for a while, Lucerna. We don't have to wait till I get my master's.
No, I can't.
You do feel about me the way I feel about you, don't you?
It's not just the way a person feels, Ralph. It's the kind of life they want.
Well, don't we want the same?
No, I don't want to be tied down by a husband and children.
But you said you were being married to an archaeologist.
I said a lot of things, trying to make conversation. But now I've had time to think. And Ralph, I don't want to be married to you or anybody.
What do you want?
To be a teacher.
A teacher?
Yes. I want to start out right away. In the fall. I can teach geography in the primary grades until I get my teacher certificate. And eventually I would like to teach American history in high school.
We could be married and you could still teach for a while.
I want to make it my whole life's work.
That's what you said to me now.
I've made up my mind.
But I couldn't have been this wrong. Or is there someone else?
Oh, no, Ralph.
Then what is it?
You know me as the daughter of a banker.
Well,
My father left a debt that has to be repaid.
so
I have to repay it.
you have to.
That's why I have to become a teacher. Not just for a year or two either, for always.
How much did he owe?
Why?
Can they make you pay it back?
It's a question of honor.
What security did he give?
It was a personal loan.
But we can't let this stand in our way. Marry me and we'll pay it back together.
Well, I couldn't let you do that.
Nonsense. It's the only way. How much did he owe?
$12,000.
Wow!
I shouldn't have told you.
Of course you should. This needn't come between us. If we have what we think we have, we can rise above a little thing like, well, thousands.
It does make a difference.
Not a bit.
You'd better go now.
All right, I'll go. But don't think you can get rid of me this easy. Lucerna, I'll never stop loving you and wanting to make you my wife. You haven't seen the last of Ralph Scott.
Well, wasn't that romantic? A darling, darling boy. But you know what? That's right. We had seen the last of Ralph Scott. Never heard from him again. We knew, when he left, that we wouldn't. Even I knew it. That night, she and I had a terrible fight. She said that I was the soft, weak, romantic part of her nature, and that I had to go. She couldn't do what she had to do with me around. She couldn't become a good teacher because I'd make her spoil the children. She said that if I ever had children of my own, I'd be the doting, dandling kind of mother who would rock her children to sleep and kiss their bruises and call them baby talk names like Pumpkin and Buttons and Boo. She said there was no room in our life for that kind of softness. There was nothing ahead but good, hard work. So she turned her back on me, and I became what I am. It hasn't been all bad. Mother died without ever even knowing about father and the money. And our sisters were sent through college, and are married now, with children of their own. But we've never had children of our own. We've always been among other people's. I have to admit, sometimes I do feel kind of proud of her. She was stern and stiff, but there are grown men and women in this town who turned out well in spite of their parents. Because Miss Dove taught them standards. Proper posture, neat appearance, good manners, and conformity. In her classroom, a thing was either Black or white, right or wrong, polite or rude, because she said it was. Children who were nervous at home could relax with Miss Dove, because she was always the same. No moves, no nicknames, no nonsense. I remember the early years when she was teaching first graders. She'd have them draw robins, in crayon. Not from memory. They'd copy one that she drew on the board. So every first grader's robin looked exactly alike. Well, don't all robins? She cared about facts, not impressions. She went to Teachers College summers until she could eventually teach American history in the 10th grade. I love to remember this day. This is Randy Baker. His older brother Tommy is just about the biggest hero Liberty Hill ever produced. He's a doctor in town now, but when he was in the service, his plane crashed in the Pacific. All of the officers on board were killed, and he was given credit for rescuing all of the enlisted men. He floated for days on a raft, with no food and only the water in his canteen. It's a miracle he held on. When they picked him up, his tongue was sticking out, black and swollen with thirst. I mean, he was always the thirstiest boy. He made more trips to the drinking fountain than any boy we had ever seen. Randy has a little surprise for Miss Dove.
Yes, Randolph?
I got a letter from Tommy yesterday.
Received, Randolph. You received a letter from your brother Thomas yesterday. That was nice.
Yes, Miss Dove. He sent me $1 and played poker in the convalescent hospital.
I am sorry to hear that Thomas gambles, but we are all very proud of his record. If you have nothing more to tell us, you may take your seat.
He's been decorated for bravery beyond the call of duty.
I know, and deservedly so.
He sent a message to the class and you in a letter.
Did you bring the letter with you?
Yes, ma'am.
You may read that part aloud.
It's sort of long.
We can spare the time.
I'll skip some. The funny thing about the world is that it looks just like you think it does. When they flew me back to California in a hospital plane, I looked down and heck kid, I might have been looking at those diagrams on the geography board back in there. Oh, Liberty Hill. You want to know if I was scared when we fell into the Pacific? The answer is, you bet. When it came to me in a flash, I wasn't much scared from the time old lady Duck caught me at the drinking fountain. Right about how we beat her up. But I didn't run that time. I told myself, so I won't run now. Besides, there wasn't much place to run to. And later, when I was bumping up and down the Robinson Crusoe on my raft, what did I think about? It wasn't any pin-up girl. It was Miss Dove. I thought about the fishy stare she used to give us when we needed a drink. When I pulled out, I played I was back in the stuff. Even when the water was gone, I kept playing. I figured the bell was gone for a few minutes. You can last a little longer. I took the same kind of guys in the Pacific in school. Tell that to the guys in Liberty Hill.
Is that the end?
No, Miss Dove. There's a little more. He says here, give the terrible Miss Dove a kiss for me.
Well, Randolph, we don't want to disappoint Thomas now, do we?
No, Miss Dove.
Thank you. You may be seated. Virginia, you really must remember hair elastics. Class, your homework for the weekend.
Oh. Fortitude. That's what she had. A thing Father taught her by talking about it. Example isn't everything. Rules. She liked making and keeping rules. Margins had to be just so. No talking in class. Sit up straight. Like when the bell rang at the end of the class. Nobody moved. Until she said,
Attention, please.
close your books, please. The class will rise. The class is dismissed. They'd all file out, but not a minute earlier. Remember that. They'd better do it quietly. If there was one thing that they learned from Miss Dove, it was that life may not be easy, but it isn't puzzling. There are laws governing just about everything. You learn them, you respect them. This way you control your destiny. In the town the size of Liberty Hill, the lines of people's lives cross over and over again. And one place where they cross is at the high school, especially at commencement time, when all of the older graduates would come to see their younger brothers and sisters, or their children who received diplomas. Miss Dove would always be at her desk after class, and all sorts of people would come in to meet her. Jinsey Webb will be along in a minute. She's the one with the red hair you just saw. Quite a lot has happened to her since then. For one thing, just about everything about her changed, pretty suddenly. Her complexion, her figure, her eyes, and most of all, her hair. Everyone was dazzled by Jinsy's looks, including Jinsy. At the State University, she was elected Sweetheart of Sigma Chi, and she won a talent contest, which took her to New York, where she did singing TV commercials for shampoo. And the next thing we knew, her engagement was announced to the son of a very wealthy family. They went to honeymoon on a yacht in the Mediterranean, live in a penthouse. They came home here for the wedding, but 2 days after she arrived, her fiancé eloped with a nightclub singer. He didn't even tell Jinsy. She had to read about it in a gossip column. She's just begun to go out a little. Here she is. Hello, Miss Dove.
Good evening, Virginia.
This was my place.
Will you sit there now?
The room is different. Empty. Like glass. Doesn't smell the same either. Remember the boys' corduroy pants and the wet sneakers? Is that the same map?
No, it is a new map.
I like the old one. I like the old world.
Cartography is a fluid art, Virginia.
Oh, Miss Dove, tell me what to do.
Do your duty, Virginia.
What is your duty when your world is ended?
You are 22, I believe. You have your health, your appearance.
But everything has crashed. I'll never. Things will never be the same for me again.
The only one who can ruin your life for you is you, Virginia. Do you wish to spend the rest of your years grieving?
No! I wanted to get married and raise a family, but now I may never find someone who will make me forget him.
There are many fine young men here in Liberty Hill.
But there are also, you know, compared to him,
What was it about your fiancé that impressed you so, Virginia?
little things. You'll think I'm silly. Like when I met him at the store club, he wore a cummerbund. And when he took me out to dinner, he always spoke to the waiters in French. Did you ever drink champagne, Miss Dove?
No.
It tastes like cider, but its effect is different. He said wonderful things to me, like when he proposed. He took my hand in his hand. He took my hair in his hands and kissed it, and said, "You are my rainbow's end." And then, when we went back to my apartment, he took me.
Do not keep looking back, Virginia. It can be habit-forming.
When I saw her in the hall when he eloped, everything was black. Next day, I had a telegram that said, "This only you can understand."
And could you?
No, I still can't. Can you?
Of course. Have you a handkerchief, Virginia?
No, I forgot. What shall I do, Miss Dove?
Are you sure you want me to tell you?
Oh, yes, please.
I'm always hesitant to give a young person advice. It deprives him of his inalienable right to trial and error, which is tonic to the character.
My character has had more tonic than it can stand.
Very well. I will tell you what to do. First, return to your home, enter your bedroom, fall upon your knees, and give thanks to your heavenly Father.
Thanks? For what?
For preserving you from that man.
But Miss Dove, I loved him.
You did not know him.
Know him?
You still do not.
Oh, I do. He wasn't perfect. He was a little fickle.
That may account for his sudden change in feeling toward you. He had, however, an honorable avenue of escape. He could have requested you to release him from his commitment. He did not do so. Why?
Well, I don't know. Why?
Because he was a cad, a coward, and a person of low principles.
Oh, no, it was only the way he was brought up. He was a little spoiled, but
He would have been a growing disappointment and a heavy, heavy responsibility.
But
You are a lovely girl, Virginia, but you are not up to coping with so weak a man.
I'm weak myself. I thought it was something we had in common.
One weak person is all a marriage can stand.
But would a really strong man want me?
Yes.
But where?
Where will you find such a man? Well, I should not suggest going back to the stork club.
No.
No, after you have expressed gratitude to the force that kept you from this disastrous alliance, you must consider your duty to your neighbors and to yourself. You must find a useful occupation.
You mean like helping people? I've never been very useful, but do you think I could become a teacher, like you?
No, but there are other spheres of service.
I might become a nun.
Go slowly, Virginia.
Good evening, Miss Dove.
How do you do, Thomas?
I came to see my kid build a skill and get his diploma. I couldn't leave without saying hello.
Virginia, you may remember Thomas Baker. This is Virginia Webb.
Thomas. Oh, yes, Tommy Baker.
Jinsy? Holy mackerel, you're all grown up.
You've changed, too.
Yes, But you're...
Thomas is a doctor now, on the staff of our hospital.
You're...
Really?
Yes, Virginia has been doing dramatic work in New York.
I shouldn't wonder. The last time I saw her was on my way east to med school. She's in my brother Randy's class.
How is Randy?
He's had another year at Harvard. Now see if he can buckle down to some real work. Miss Duff, he must be relieved to be finished with us bakers. Sterling was Mom's last life lamp.
Sterling was a good student, in spite of his levity.
You can't really blame me for that. Dad runs in our family. I've always been a mind to it myself. I often think it's what keeps me single. I'm going to find a girl. Everything's leading up to Lohengrin. Then just at that throbbing tender moment, I can't resist a wisecrack. Well, the old room looks pretty much the same. Wouldn't you say so, Jinsky?
Yes, it smells different though.
And much better.
I expect the hospital keeps you busy, Thomas.
Yes, it calls me now.
Virginia is thinking of taking up nursing. Perhaps you can give her some advice.
Would you like to visit our hospital now? My cars are back. I'd be glad to take you over.
Well, I was going home.
Come on over and look around. I won't be long. Then afterwards we can go somewhere and talk about your career.
Well, all right. Goodbye, Miss Dove.
Goodbye, Virginia.
Bye, Miss Dove.
Bye, Thomas.
I can't tell you how much it helped to talk to you, Miss Dove. I really feel like a new person. Did Jinsey become a nurse? No, a doctor's wife, Dr. Baker's. Naturally, they both felt quite indebted to Miss Dove. Of course, there were always a few progressive mothers who objected to Miss Dove. They'd get together in a group and say, she's too strict. She rules the children through fear. She's old-fashioned. She's using the same methods they used when I was in school. And they'd say to the bravest one, you go talk to her. And she would. She'd put on her best tweed suit and a gardenia for courage. But the moment Miss Dove looked at her, she'd feel 15 again, with her petticoat showing and no white handkerchief. That is, until Mrs. Bradley. You saw Mr. Bradley earlier. He's the one who brought the new electronics plant, which nearly doubled our population. He also brought Mrs. Bradley and George. This was last week, before school opened in September. Where her son George is concerned, Mrs. Bradley isn't afraid of anything.
Hello, Miss Dove. I'm Bernice Bradley.
How do you do, Mrs. Bradley?
Mrs. Henry Bradley. My son George is going to be in your American history class this year.
Yes.
I thought we ought to have a little talk about him before the term begins.
Yes, of course. Will you be seated?
Thank you. You do know who I am, who my husband is?
Bradley Electronics.
That's right. Well, we've come here to live, you know. At first, I wanted to leave George in that very good private school he was going to in New York. But his father said no. We were going to have our business in Liberty Hill, and he wanted us to be good citizens all the way. And we thought it might be good for George to get a taste of public school.
Excuse me, Mrs. Bradley.
Yes?
I have seen George's records.
Oh.
He failed in his private school and would not have been allowed back this term.
He failed in that particular private school. A very tough one. Believe me, we could have entered him in plenty of others. God knows. I mean, if you've seen his records, you know he's bright enough. It's just he has this ego problem. He's sensitive and creative, and it's hard on him having a big, successful, self-made businessman for a father. So we got this idea last year, why not attract a little attention by failing? I'm not just guessing at that. A very expensive psychiatrist said the same thing. Well, so the point is, Miss Dove, for his ego's sake, I don't want George to fail. In Miss Dove's American history class, since we heard so much about you since we came here.
Let us hope he does not fail.
Let us go a little farther than that, Miss Dove.
Oh, what had you in mind, Mrs. Bradley?
This is between you and I. Well, Miss Dove, you have a reputation for being quite the disciplinarian. And believe me, discipline is the last thing George needs. If you get strict with him, he may get his back up and refuse to do any work with you whatsoever. So go a little easy on him. You know what I mean? I hate to ask special favors. Mr. Bradley's plant has been a terrific thing for Liberty Hill, but I hate to trade on that. So if there's anything that either my husband or I can do for you or the school, you just let us know. Like if there's a special set of books you'd like, or records, or maps the school budget can't quite manage, you just let us know. We'd adore to help out. Now let me call George in here so he can meet you. George, come in here good boy. Try to like him. He can be very rewarding.
Look at him. Does he remind you of anybody? That's right. He's Ralph Scott all over again. The only boy she was ever in love with. But she doesn't recognize him. Because she put him even farther out of her mind than she did me. That is, she doesn't recognize him up here. But in her heart she does. She's still very fond of him. So naturally, she gives him a very hard time. You come back in about 10 minutes and I'll tell you all of that.
Somebody in the room.
482.
Remember, as I said, between 2 and 3, the lights will come up so they can change the stage. Thank you.
I'm sure it will mean more to him. Then you may show in Mr. Lyons.
If you say so, Miss Dove, but gee whiz. Mr. Nate. Thank you.
Oh, good morning, Miss Dove. Hey, that sounds like old times.
How do you do, Fred?
Well, was sick, I went to my gang boss. Boss, I says, the only teacher that ever warned me anything is in the hospital, and I want a day off to go see her.
And he gave you leave?
Yes, ma'am. He said, sure, Freddie. I know I can trust you.
I'll compliment you, Sherry. And have you anything private to say, Frederick?
No, ma'am.
All right, Billie Jean. You may show Mr. Lyons in now.
Certainly, Miss Dove.
Don't go.
I've decided to reform my ways, Miss Dove.
I am pleased to hear that.
I've been thinking of some of the things you used to tell us. And damned if, you were right. Like crime doesn't pay, it doesn't. Really. Anyway, it sure hasn't for me.
I am gratified to learn that.
I'm sorry I've been a disappointment to you.
Oh, it is not too late to change.
I hope. Well, I'm sure gonna try.
Miss Dove, how are you?
Hello, Jeffrey. Thank you.
I'll take those for you, Miss Dove.
Thank you, Billie Jean.
I was visiting my sister on my way to Hollywood. When I heard you were here, I had to drop over.
I am pleased you did.
Hey, Jeff Lyons. I thought I recognized you out there.
Hey, don't tell me, old Babe Makepeace, the greatest song that Libby Hill ever had. So, what are you up to now, Babe?
Me?
Well,
mine
is paying his debt to society.
Oh, well, that's a debt few of us ever have to pay.
He was given permission to come and see me.
So, how long are you?
2 years. One to go.
Hope it was worth it. I mean,
I got into this jam Christmas a year ago. Had to have some money. So I passed a couple of checks with another guy's name on them. Then I borrowed this Chrysler from a parking lot. And just happened to wreck it.
sounds more like you.
Believe me, it's the last time I ever do a thing like that. I just told the old lady, Miss Dove here, that I'm gonna reform my ways. Now I have to. Nobody ever lied to Miss Dove and got away with it.
That's a fact.
And so I can tell you've been doing pretty good in showbiz, Jack.
Well, if I am, I owe it all to Miss Dove. She taught me how to buckle down and work. You know how to play on Broadway last season, Miss Dove?
Yes, Jeffrey, I saw it.
You saw it?
I chanced to be in New York.
Why didn't you tell me? I'd have sent you tickets. Well, did you like it? Rather not say, huh? Not you dish your tea, huh? Look at me, nervous as a ninth grader.
I was not unamused.
It was a light thing.
I did wonder why, with over 300,000 words at your disposal in any unabridged dictionary, that you so often resorted to profanity, and unless I misunderstood, impropriety.
Oh, that was just dialogue.
Yes, I was not referring to the stage directions.
Huh? No, well, you're right, Miss Dove. I don't know why we write the crummy stuff we do. Sick people, weak people.
Presumably because it is what the public wants, and it is therefore profitable.
Well, the next one I write, so help me, I'm gonna make you like it.
I shall look forward to seeing it.
I mean, being back here in Old Liberty Hill, seeing you and Babe here, makes me realize how far I've strayed from what you really need.
And where did you say you were off to, Jeffrey?
Hollywood. I'm like the Babe here. I'm going straight, but I have a little time to start first.
Dr. Temple's ready to see you, Miss Dove.
All right.
Well, goodbye, Miss Dove. Get well quick. Soon.
I will.
Shall.
Will denotes determination.
If you do that, Miss Dove, you still got a lot more teaching to do to make up for the Babe in me, yeah, you Babe?
That's a fact.
Thank you both for coming.
I hope they didn't tire you, Miss Dove.
On the contrary.
Good.
Exactly who is Dr. Temple?
He's Dr. Baker's house officer. That means helper.
And what does he want?
It's just routine. A few questions.
All right, Billie Jean, you may show him in.
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Temple?
Good morning, Miss Dove.
Good morning, Dr. Temple.
I hope you're fairly comfortable. I believe you were complaining about pain in the lower dorsal region and extended numbness in the left leg.
Those are my symptoms. I am not, however, complaining.
Correct, sir. Now, you've already had your physical, but there are a few points about your history we need to fill in for Dr. Baker. Let's see. We have your age. You were born in...
Yes, you have that.
Were there any untoward circumstances attending your birth?
None.
Your mother never mentioned anything?
No.
No. Do you suffer much from headaches? No. Allergies? No. Respiratory infections? No. No, 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 no. Now about your emotional life, Miss Dove. I mean, do you often experience feelings of frustration?
Are you aware of my occupation, Dr. Taylor?
Indeed I am. You're a teacher, but that's not the kind of frost. Normal. What about feelings of inadequacy?
You do not come from Liberty Hill, do you, Dr. Temple?
No, ma'am, I don't.
I have never felt inadequate.
Suppose we call your emotional life satisfactory.
That will be correct.
Are you subject to fantasy?
Within reason.
You mean?
When I sit in an empty classroom, I see the ghosts of students I've had years ago. All teachers do.
I see. Yes, I buy that. Well, thank you, Miss Dove. Dr. Baker will be in later, of course. If there's anything I can do for you, I mean, even though I don't come from around here, you and I are really old friends. In a manner of speaking, I've known you all my life.
How is that?
My mother was a Liberty Hill girl, Angela Adams.
Why, yes, you have the same expression.
According to Mother, you had a kind of magic effect on a room full of boisterous brats.
It was not magic.
No, well, maybe character is a type of magic. Mother said my Latin teacher in high school was just like you, kept us on our toes. Right now, I could conjugate any verb, regular or irregular. You can't forgive me.
I am honored by the comparison.
Of course, she was more narrow-minded than you. It came from too much dead grammar, I guess. Do you know what she said to me when I left for college?
No.
She said, "Goodbye, Adam. Don't get any new ideas."
And did you?
Very few. You know, there aren't many.
That is true.
Dr. Temple,
Goodbye for now, Miss Dove.
Goodbye, and remember me to your mother.
now, Miss Dove, we have a little surprise for you. Two, in fact. One is easy. The entire football squad of Liberty Hill High School is here to donate blood in case you should need it.
The entire...
Oh, you never need that much, but they all want to give, and we can always use it. Anyway, it's the thought.
Yes, and do tell them to keep enough for the Thanksgiving game against Grand Island.
Hey, they'll love that. Right, and if you feel well enough and promise to take a nice little nap and go to sleep immediately afterwards, the Glee Club is here to sing a special song for you.
I shall love to hear it.
All right. All right, children.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so
be a very serious operation. And so did Miss Dove. One of her visitors was her pastor, Reverend Alexander Burnham. She felt a little odd being comforted by him when she could remember so clearly coming back to the classroom one day after recess and finding a broken pane of glass on the floor and a baseball with Alexander the Great printed on it. And now she was in his hands. They said a silent prayer. Miss Dove's prayer was, "Whatever comes to me, let me take it like a teacher." But one of her most surprising visitors was the one who gave all by himself the afternoon before the operation.
Oh, Miss Dove, you really shouldn't see anyone else, but this one is so cute.
Who is it, Billie Jean?
One of your students, George Bradley.
George Bradley?
His father owns the electronics
Yes,
company.
I know. Is George alone?
Yes, ma'am.
You may show him in.
Just to say hello. George, you may come in now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, George.
I wouldn't ordinarily come to see a teacher, Miss Dove, but I wanted to tell you. I know I haven't done too outstanding work for you up to now, but if you'll promise to take care of yourself and get well and come back, then I'll promise to try harder. Is that a deal?
Yes, George, it's a deal.
That's all. I just wanted to tell you that.
All right.
I'll run along now.
Goodbye, George.
Goodbye, Miss Dove.
Thank you, George.
You're welcome.
When the operation was over, and they knew it was a success, the high school band marched up to the hospital to serenade her. And for the first time, since she and I had parted company, she began to feel sentimental. This horrified her so much that one night she had this dream. She dreamed that she went to the garden, and whom should she find there waiting for her but her favorite president, Theodore Roosevelt.
Miss Dove,
Mr. President,
I am delighted to see you and relieved to know that you've made such a splendid recovery from your operation. Hearty congratulations.
thank you, Mr. President.
Are you ready to resume the strenuous life of a teacher?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Please be seated, Miss Dove. Would it surprise you to know that I have been aware for some time of your fine work with the young people of Liberty Hill?
There have been times where it seemed I sensed your presence and approval.
Bully, then I give them through you. Macklin, General Washington, and Mr. Lincoln, and others of us have discussed you often. We approve of you, Miss Dove, because you not only teach your students the facts, but the true spirits of the times we lived in.
That has been my intention.
You have been strong and able and fearless.
That is true.
And what I like, you don't mollycoddle your pupils. They stand against reality in your classes, develop character, be inborn independent and self-reliance of our forefathers.
Yes.
Heaven knows they don't get much character training from their parents these days.
Parents are a problem.
But one thing worries me, Miss Dove.
And what is that, Mr. President?
While you were in the hospital, there was great outpouring of public affection for you.
Appreciation.
Affection.
That is true.
This touched you.
Yes.
Are you aware of the danger that when you return to your classroom, you may be changed,
How is that?
softened?
It had occurred to me.
Avoid it, girl.
Right.
Your ailing back is well now. Stiffen it.
Yes.
Mr. Lincoln says, dare to do your duty as you understand it. Give those young people strong, deep roots in American history, so that in the challenging years ahead, they may bend and change with the winds of necessity and retain their vigor.
I will.
No mollycoddle.
Right.
So naturally, when she came back to the classroom, she was stricter than ever. She loved the children more, but showed it less. And of course, George Bradley she loved the best and treated the worst. She not only gave him worse grades than he deserved, she wrote sarcastic remarks on his papers, gave him extra homework, and made him write a 500-word essay every time he stepped out of line, the least little bit. But she didn't have much trouble with Mrs. Bradley right away, because George didn't complain. He knew that if he did, his mother would cause trouble, and he did not want that. But he did think that Miss Dove was persecuting him, and it bothered him because he thought he knew why. She didn't like him. He felt just enough different, being new and being the son of the richest man in town, that he could understand why someone might not like him. His mother suspected something, but George insisted that he liked Miss Dove. So, nothing happened, until one day early this spring. George was being kept after school because he had stood up when the bell rang. You know, without waiting for her to say, dismissed. It was the end of the period, and it was spring, and she may have overlooked it, but it was George, and she had that talk with Mr. Roosevelt. So...
Excuse me, Miss Dove? How long are you keeping me in for?
The penalty for rising without permission is 15 minutes.
Could I stay in 5 today and 10 tomorrow?
No.
The thing of it is that I'm supposed to be meeting somebody outside right now, and it's pretty important.
I'm sure your social life will survive a 15-minute delay.
I'll stay in 20 minutes tomorrow.
In life, George, you cannot bargain with the rules, and you cannot do so in my classroom.
30 minutes tomorrow?
You will stay in 30 minutes today unless you start talking.
Can I tell you who I'm supposed to be meeting?
Who? And no, you may not.
I think I'd better.
All right, George, 30 minutes it is.
30? I can't stay 30 minutes today.
George!
Miss Duff, who's waiting for me is my mother to take me to the dentist. I've been covering up for you, but if she has to come in here today after me, it won't be good.
You've been covering up for me?
My mother's a nice woman, but she doesn't take any guff where I'm concerned. If she found out how you've been persecuting me, she'd blow her top.
I've been persecuting you? Persecuting you how, George?
You pick on me. You're unfair.
George, control yourself.
All I say is let me go now and we'll both avoid a fuss.
George, get back to your seat.
Please, Miss Dove.
For the last time.
There you are, George. Don't tell me you forgot. Oh, hello, Miss Dove.
How do you do, Mrs. Bradley? And no, George did not forget. He is being detained.
Could we put off the dentist till tomorrow, Mom?
No, of course not. Come along.
But I'm not free yet.
I'm sure Miss Dove will release you in my custody. Hurry, I am double parked.
If it's all the same to you, Mom.
George, are you crying? Why? What has he done, Miss Dove?
I broke a rule.
What rule?
Just a rule.
Is it a secret?
It's between Miss Dove and me.
Oh, it is it? Well, I've been kept waiting 10 minutes, and we've probably lost a dentist appointment by now, and they're hard to come by. So I'd like to know why. What did he do, Miss Dove?
He rose to leave the class before permission was given.
You mean before the period was over?
The period was over, but I had not yet given permission for the class to leave.
The bell had rung.
That is correct.
So let me get this straight. The bell rung for the end of the period, and in this case, the end of the day. And George got up to go. Is that right, Miss Dove?
That is correct.
And how long were you going to keep him in for this crime?
The penalty is 15 minutes.
Did you tell Miss Dove you were meeting me and going to the dentist?
I guess I should have.
He told me.
Not till a couple of minutes ago.
You should have told her right away.
Yeah, I should have.
Well, the 15 minutes is about up. So come along, George. All right, Miss Dove.
The thing is, I was a little fresh to Miss Dove, so I have to stay another 15 minutes. We better see the dentist tomorrow or some other time. My toothache is practically gone anyway.
Look at me, George. Your face is still swollen.
It is.
Please wait for me outside, George.
You may be excused, George.
What are you trying to do to that boy? I've never seen him so frightened and upset.
Then I suggest that you take him to the dentist and we make an appointment to discuss him later in the week.
Oh, you do you? Well, aren't you the generous one? May I remind you, Miss Dove, that I'm not one of your 10th graders or one of your cowed mothers either. So you better just get off your high horse with me.
Friday at 4:30 would be convenient.
For standing up when the bell rang, like any kid in any normal teacher's class would automatically do. Of course you wanted to wear he had a toothache. You had him so petrified he didn't dare tell you. But couldn't you see how his face was swollen? I wouldn't have let him come to school today if he hadn't insisted.
At 4:30 on Friday.
Oh no, Miss Dove, you're not going to get off that easily. Not this time. The next time we meet will be before the school board.
That is your privilege.
It is my duty and my pleasure.
Very well.
Can't you get it through your head that this town has grown? There are people here that haven't gone to the terrible Miss Dove. first grade, fifth grade, or 10th grade class. People you can't push around. Lady, you're in trouble.
Mrs. Bradley,
And don't take that condescending tone with me.
I suggest that you control your temper,
Oh, you do you?
and that you and I reach an agreement before you confront your son.
And I suggest you call him back in here and apologize to George for the way you've treated him this past year. And if you do that and promise to be better in the future, I will give you another chance.
Good day, Mrs. Bradley.
Goodbye, Miss Dove.
Mrs. Bradley can prove that Miss Dove has been unfair to George, and she has power enough to make things very difficult for her. Excuse me, I didn't mean to get so emotional. Anyway, this is what led up to the hearing tomorrow before the school board. I'll see you there in 10 minutes. I do not know myself what will happen there, but it can't be good. Already the talk around town has been quite embarrassing. They could decide to fire Miss Dove. Then what? Where would we go? What would we do? Oh, why does she have to be such an unreasonable old biddy?
I managed to get the complaining parents and teacher together to work things out. But in this case, we ran into, we weren't able to, so here we are. However, I still hope we can settle this without a lot of publicity, so I'm taking the liberty of making this a closed meeting. The idea is to air the complaint against Miss Dove, explore it, give the Bradleys a chance to withdraw their charges if they see fit, give us a chance to question Miss Dove, get the whole thing out onto the table, but not into the papers. Yes, Mrs. Bradley?
Mr. Solomon, we brought our charges only after long and serious thought, and we have no intention of withdrawing them.
Not now, but I'm hoping this hearing will produce new facts or shed new light on older ones. If not, then the next step will be a public hearing, unless
what?
Unless Miss Dove, when she sees the whole thing out on the table, should decide to retire. I mean, that is one possibility. Now, you each have a copy of the complaint against Miss Dove and will be allowed to question her, George, or Mrs. Bradley about it at the proper time. From this specific complaint stems a general charge that Miss Dove is no longer capable of performing her duties from reason of being mentally and emotionally disturbed.
What?
The Bradleys were reluctant to use that term, but it is the legal one. It's one of the few grounds on which a teacher with tenure can be removed in this state. Yes, Mrs. Bradley?
Who said we were reluctant to use that term?
Mr. Bradley.
Oh. Well, I'm sure we were reluctant to bring the whole thing up. I mean, it's not my idea of mad fun, but we feel that we have a case here, and it's our duty of the children to discount to press it.
Miss Dove, would you like to make a comment at this point under the principle of equal time?
Only that you seem warm, Sydney, and although I am comfortable myself, I would not object to your opening a window.
I'm not warm, Miss Dove. I am embarrassed.
Oh.
It's been some years since I sat in your classroom, Miss Dove, but it made a lasting impression on me.
Mr. Solomon, if you were so awed by Miss Dove, can you be fair?
Mrs. Bradley, one thing I learned in Miss Dove's classroom was the concept of public duty. In fact, it was there I decided to become a lawyer. It is my duty now to conduct this hearing with scrupulous fairness, and that I intend to do.
Please do.
Now, this board has never come up against one of these cases before, but they do occur. Teachers are actually accused of being mentally and emotionally disturbed. And the State Board of Education has a consulting psychiatrist to advise local boards. That psychiatrist, Dr. Alice Wakefield, is here with us today to speak with us and answer questions.
Did Dr. Wakefield talk with Miss Dove?
In a limited way.
Limited by what?
By Miss Dove. Dr. Wakefield will explain that. Before I call on her, Superintendent's 5 years at home in bed with the flu. But both he and Principal Elwood of the high school have asked me to say that they have the highest regard for Miss Dove, but both feel she was unduly harsh with George and hope some light will be shed on that matter in this morning's hearing. Now, Dr. Wakefield, will you?
Mr. Solomon, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen, in these M&ED cases, we never try to tell a local board what to do, but what to look for.
MNDD?
Mentally and emotionally disturbed.
Thank you.
Now, in this case, the fact that the teacher has done exemplary work in the past made it hard for you to be objective. But I must say that an exemplary teacher is just as apt to cross over the line into M&ED as anyone else. Maybe more so, because she is more sensitive, more the perfectionist. Also, the power she acquires through years of being the leading teacher in town may, I don't say will, I say may, contribute to a rigidity of personality not conducive to sound mental health. I can put this all in more technical language.
Never mind.
I won't make a long statement because I believe our time will be better spent in questioning the teacher. Why did she treat George Bradley the way she did? There's no doubt in my mind she was unfair to him.
Did you ask Miss Dove for an explanation?
I did.
And?
She declined to answer.
On what ground?
Why, she said that to do so would dignify the charges.
Well, Miss Dove, these charges are dignified. Enough to get us all out here on a Saturday morning when I expected we had other things to do.
I do not believe that a teacher should be subjected to a psychological examination every time she displeases a parent.
But the parents in this case are more than displeased.
Their way of expressing it is out of the ordinary.
But you consider their complaint itself
Routine.
Do you have the same objection when talking to us now than you did when talking to Dr. Wakefield?
Certainly not. I shall be glad to answer any question that I consider pertinent.
Good. Well, to start with, do you concede that you have gone out of your way to be firm with George Bradley?
I have dealt with him as I thought best.
Do you claim you've treated him exactly the same as any other student?
I never treat any student exactly the same as any other student, Mr. Johnson.
No.
No. In my classroom, there are certain basic rules to which all students must conform, but I evaluate and treat each as an individual.
How did you evaluate George Bradley?
As unusually promising, lacking in self-discipline, and not given to overwork.
So you decided to handle him rather especially firmly?
Firmly.
Do you concede that you might have evaluated him incorrectly?
No.
I think it only fair to remind you again, Miss Adult, that extreme rigidity may be a sign of the condition alleged in the complaint.
Are you inviting me to give dishonest answers in the interest of self-preservation?
Certainly not.
Your suggestion seems open to that interpretation.
I withdraw it.
Dr. Wakefield, did you more or less examine George Bradley?
Yes, Mr. Johnson.
Is it your opinion that he's a boy who needs to be dealt with very, very firmly?
No, it is not.
Would you elaborate on that?
He struck me as being a rather sensitive boy, eager to please, needing a pat on the back more than anything else.
Thank you.
May I ask the psychiatrist a question?
Sure.
Dr. Wakefield, have you had any experience as a teacher?
Is that pertinent?
No, Miss Dove. If you question her qualifications as a psychiatrist, all right. But nobody expects her to have been a teacher.
Then I suggest that as a representative of a rather new profession, she approach a considerably older one with more humility.
Please, Miss Dove.
Dr. Wakefield and other psychiatrists are trained to deal with the sick or impaired mind. They seek to restore damaged personalities to normal functioning. Teachers deal with the well and growing mind, help normal personalities to develop. Let her judge me if she will, since I am accused of being deranged. But I do not believe her estimate of George Bradley to be of any value.
Suppose you let us decide whose opinions to value it.
Please, let's get back on track.
Mr. Solomon, since it is fairly evident that I am not ingratiating myself with Mr. Johnson anyway, may I suggest that he not smoke that cigar in this crowded room without the permission of the ladies present?
Does anyone object?
I have seldom encountered a non-cigar smoker that did not find the odor objectionable. Many are too timid to say so. I, however, am not. Yes, Mr. Johnson, I object.
Miss Dove, have you read this brief, or whatever you call it?
Yes, Kathleen.
Do you contend that these things are not true?
I did say on things I do say. I did say and do the things set forth there. The inferences derived, however, are erroneous.
You don't feel that you are unfair, unjust, inhumane?
Certainly not.
Oh, come on now. Just giving him extra homework? Keeping him with a toothache while his mother waited to take him to the dentist?
She was not aware he had a toothache. George says he didn't tell her that.
But his face was swollen. She knew I was waiting to take him to the dentist. She might have wondered if he had a toothache. He would have told her if he hadn't scared her half to death.
That does seem reasonable.
Of course, I think many of our teachers nowadays tend to push their partisan students harder to keep up with the communists.
Miss Dove?
Communism has changed many things in the world. It has not, however, changed the facts of American history, nor my way of teaching those facts.
Oh,
You mean you go on right on doing things your own way?
The right way.
Well,
has George any theory as to why Miss Dove has mistreated him, if she has?
I asked George, and he could only suppose that she disliked him. Why? He didn't know.
Let's try to clear that up. Miss Dove, do you dislike George Bradley?
I do not become emotionally involved with my students, Mr. Solomon.
Not consciously, but you do acknowledge, do you not, that one may have unconscious feelings that may influence one's behavior?
Naturally.
Or unnaturally.
I do not suffer from conflicts between my conscious and unconscious mind.
Miss Dove, you could help us all by not being quite so positive.
Mr. Solomon, I believe that boards and administrators and committees and psychiatric consultants all have their uses. But I believe that when it comes to evaluating with one student, a teacher should arrive at her own personal judgment and act upon her own personal judgment. And she should take the consequences, which I am quite prepared to do.
I ask you, for all of our sakes, to look into your heart and see whether or not you might have had some reason for being prejudiced against George.
I had no prejudice.
We are not prying into your behavior out of idle curiosity. We have a heavy responsibility.
And I cannot lighten it for you.
But Miss Dove, try. Unless you can help understand this, we have no choice but to decide that Mr. and Mrs. Bradley do have a case. And the whole thing will have to be brought into a public meeting. Unless you can defend yourself better than you're doing here, we have no choice but to dismiss you. If you won't think of yourself, think of the other ones who have studied under you.
Think of me. What procedure do you have, Mr. Chairman, for winding this thing up? I mean, we do have a vote for whether to have a public meeting.
Not so fast.
Why drag it out? If Miss Dove won't tell us why she treated young Bradley the way she did,
Give her time.
she's had time. I say let the chairman put the question to Miss Dove again, and if she can't or won't answer it, we might as well adjourn and continue this in a public meeting. Oh, no! Will the chairman put the question to Miss Dove again?
Miss Dove, aside from you feeling that you found George Bradley an unusually promising student, had you any reason for being especially severe with him?
Yes, you did. You did have a reason.
Well, Miss Dove,
Listen to me. Don't answer him. Think. Remember.
are you all right, Miss Dove?
Tell him you want to think it over. Ask for a timeout. Quick.
What was the question?
Had you any reason for being especially severe with George, aside from you feeling that...
Stop. Don't answer that. Think. Quick.
You seem confused. Not in the least.
Yes, you are. You are. Admit it.
However, since you seem to regard this as a key question, I should like a few moments to think it over, alone.
All right, suppose we all clear out for 5 minutes and give Miss Dove a chance to think this over alone. Any objection?
What is the meaning of this?
Then you did hear me. You can see me.
I am quite aware of you.
You have been all along. Why didn't you ever say anything?
Didn't I make that clear in our last conversation? There are things I have to do that I cannot do with you interrupting, interfering, as you did just now.
But I'm only trying to help, and you need help.
I need strength, and you weaken me.
You need to remember something, and I can tell you what.
No, thank you.
Then you'll understand this whole mix-up about George Bradley.
There is no mix-up.
You forgot Ralph Scott, haven't you?
I have certainly made no effort to remember him.
But don't you see?
Lucerna, I must ask you.
The Bradley boy reminds you of him.
Oh, how like you to think so. Is that what you wanted to tell me?
It's true.
Lucerna, please lower your voice.
I won't.
Lucerna, if you persist in this troublemaking, I will have no choice but to make you disappear completely.
You wouldn't.
I hope it will not be necessary. There are many things I like to remember from our days together, but you must not oppose me.
But I'm only trying to explain.
No! When this matter of George Bradley goes before a public meeting, the people of Liberty Hill will sustain me. You know that.
No, I don't. This town has changed. The Bradleys have their friends too, and you're in the wrong.
Lucerna!
You never would have been unfair to George if I hadn't spoken up sooner.
George Bradley reminds you of that Scott boy. You assume this has influenced me. It has not.
You won't let yourself think about it.
Lucerna, we had our last argument many years ago. If I had listened to you then, where would we be now?
Well, maybe I've changed. Well, why not? You have.
If you have changed, it is not for the better.
I admit I was foolish then.
You are more so now. You saw then, as clearly as I did, that what I had to do, I could not do with you questioning every decision, reminding me of old times.
But this time I'm right.
Lucerna, I beg of you.
No.
You leave me no choice.
No, don't.
I warned you.
I feel funny.
Goodbye.
No, it's for your own sake. Ralph Scott!
Hello, Lucerna.
Oh, Ralph.
You're crying. Is something wrong?
I'll be all right. Listen, remember when we used to talk about what we were going to be when we grew up?
Yes, I remember.
You said you wanted to become an archaeologist, did you?
Yes, I did. You wouldn't know me now.
I became a teacher.
A teacher, of course.
A very good teacher.
I'm not surprised. You had a lot to bring to it.
I'm quite a famous person in Liberty Hill.
Liberty Hill. Ah, yes.
I'd like you to meet me at Fanny now.
I would like that.
Now that you've seen him, I'm sure you remember. Ralph Scott, this is Miss Dove.
of you, Ralph.
I was very fond of you too. If things had been a little different, I mean, who knows?
He did become an archaeologist.
I am pleased to hear that. And did you ever?
Yes, I was married. I'm a grandfather now.
Perhaps you'll pop in again sometime, Ralph. When we have a little more time and right in the middle of something now.
Oh, sure, anytime.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Lucinda. Goodbye, Miss Dunn.
Goodbye, Ralph.
I'm sorry I couldn't think of any other way.
Sorry, don't be. You told me something I needed to know.
Then it's all right. You're not angry with me?
On the contrary.
You don't look very happy.
No, I do not relish what must be done now.
Which is?
I have no choice but to retire as a teacher.
Retire? No, that's exactly what you don't have to do. Just explain to them that Ralph reminded you of George. So, you were severe with him to give him a little character. They'll understand, and you'll be off the hook.
But I could never trust myself again after this.
Look, you made, or almost made, one mistake in 30 years.
I was caught in one mistake. Who knows how many others I may have made, or will make again in the future. No, Lucerna, my duty is clear.
You just thanked me for saving you from one mistake. Now you're about to make an even worse one without even asking my advice.
Lucerna, if I cannot be firm, I cannot be useful. And if I cannot be firm after this shocking demonstration of my own fallibility.
From now on, I'm going to help you.
You are going to help me?
You never would have been unfair to George if I hadn't spoken up sooner. I didn't because I was afraid of you. I'm not anymore. I'll speak up whenever I see you're about to do something wrong.
I'm sure you mean well, Lucerna.
I'm speaking up now.
But I could never turn my responsibilities as a teacher over to somebody as young and frivolous as you.
No, but I intend to be heard.
Lucerna,
it's my right to speak up, and it's your duty to listen.
my duty?
Don't forget, all these years you've been teaching, I've been learning. I've heard you tell American history classes one after another. The strength of a democracy lies in its diversity. The majorities will make sound decisions, only if the minorities speak up. Well, a person is a democracy. You're one, made up of many different elements. I may be a minority, but I have a contribution to make, and from now on, I'm going to make it.
But I cannot lean on you, Lucerna.
Well, why not? I'm a part of you. You brought me up.
But after all these years of not even listening to you...
You were wise enough to keep me around, until you needed me. Well, you need me now, and here I am.
But I cannot stop and consult you at every decision, can I?
You won't have to. Once you take me in, we'll be one person again.
Oh my, I feel very peculiar.
Bad?
No, giddy.
Younger.
Yes.
I'm beginning to feel a bit more mature myself.
Are you sure you want to rejoin me?
We have important work to do.
They're coming back now.
What will you tell them?
It has always been my custom to tell the truth.
All right, but do be nice about it. A little charm isn't always a bad thing.
We shall be ourselves. The difference will be apparent.
Could we go shopping this afternoon?
I suppose some changes will be in order.
Well, not too much. I like you the way you are. In the meanwhile... Never be.
Of course.
Shall we take up where we left off?
Yes.
I had just asked you whether...
Whether prejudice may have been a factor in my treatment of George Bradley. The answer is yes.
Yes?
Yes. As a young woman, I was once very much taken with a young man who looked almost exactly like George Bradley. I was not aware, consciously, until, as I say, my memory was refreshed.
But why would this have caused you to be severe with George? I should think on the contrary.
Oh, that is quite understandable, Mr. Solomon.
It is?
I should think any woman could understand. Well, I can't.
Bully for you, Mr. Johnson. Our nation needs men who are willing to stand up and ask questions.
Huh?
You see, I thought that young man weak. I dare say I have given George special attention because I thought I saw in him the same seeds as weakness, and I hoped I might help him to build a stronger character. George, I regret that I've been unfair to you, and I hope it will leave no lasting impression, though I doubt that it will.
Gee, I don't think so, Miss Dove. I'm just glad I can go on being in your class.
Just a minute, George. Dr. Wakefield, I underestimated you and your profession.
You had a point.
And I do like that hat.
Why, thank you.
Mr. Charming,
for a moment? Thank you. We of the school board feel that Miss Dove's frank statement changes the picture. I wonder if Mr. and Mrs. Bradley agree?
I am puzzled by this sudden improvement in Miss Dove's memory. It is awfully convenient. How was her memory refreshed? Will she explain that? Will she tell us just how it happened after all this time? And what is it, Henry?
I have something to say.
But you interrupting me?
That is correct.
Henry!
Miss Dove has made what I consider to be a very frank, confession is too strong a word,
Admission.
That's right, and one that I respect. And I know that Mrs. Bradley will respect once she's had some time to think about it. We not only accept Miss Dove's admission and withdraw our complaint, but I'd like to make a little admission of my own. A lot of this whole thing was my fault. I let it fall upon Mrs. Bradley to be both father and mother to George, because I was so busy with my work. Oh, I haven't been any worse than a lot of men I know. But it isn't right. And now I see the types of things it can lead to. If Mrs. Bradley had been able to talk this over with me as it developed, I'm sure we could have handled things a lot better. It would not have had to take up everyone's time this way. Miss Dove, more or less, has apologized to George. I think it's my turn to apologize to her.
I feel that what happened this morning had to happen, and was good for all of us. I acquired something valuable from it, and I am deeply indebted to Mrs. Bradley for bringing this whole thing about. You see, she did what a good citizen ought to do. She saw something wrong, and something was wrong. I was wrong, and she acted to correct it using the machinery available. I believe this is what being a good citizen in a democracy means. I say 3 cheers for Mrs. Bradley. And that is how it all came out. Now, if you will open your notebooks, I will tell you the lesson to be learned. Oh, never mind. I expect you've learned it, whether you know what it is or not. It has been pleasant and helpful having you here, and I'm sure things will be much better for us from now on. And, speaking for both of us, you are dismissed. is dismissed. The visitors just kept coming.